it. We've seen the reports. The federal government has informed the general public that distribution of over 42,000 metric tons of grains will be released very soon. And we also saw the previous week the sale of seized rice by the customs, and we saw how all of that went, which led to the loss of lives, and they had to seize the sales of rice for now, pending on when they're able to sort things out. So please, generally, how do we feel about all of this? Do we really think this move the federal government is taking, do we really think it's going to solve what is really going on in the country? Because we all know the high rate of hunger, people are suffering, families, men are crying.
You see, let's start from the very beginning.
All right.
You see, I think the problem that we have in Nigeria is fundamentally misdiagnosed. Because each time I hear food scarcity, the impression given is that there is some kind of crop failure as a result of which Nigeria will not be able to produce enough. But there is no way you go in the country today that you have your money and you cannot get food to buy. That's the fundamental fact. Okay. I am from what I call the middle belt, and each time I travel to the far interior, you see food everywhere. Today, it's not a question of crop failure, it's a question of high prices of these commodities. Yeah. And one of the forces that prepare these high prices. The matter is that, one, we have a problem with distribution, logistics. To bring down a truck of food from, let's say, a place like Boko, Lagos, go and find out it costs a fortune. And so you have that kind of problem across the country. And unfortunately, our naira value has gone down. It has suddenly become, our food here has come, particularly those living in border countries, border areas. People can come in here and buy our food because it is now cheaper for them to buy. So in a fundamental sense, so all of this intervention, to me, is like begging the issue. Of course, the government has to be sent to respond psychologically to the problem. But the real problem is not that food is not available. No. It's there, but people don't have the capacity to buy.
It's a high cost.
How do I address that? Very simple. Short term, okay? Short term is to ensure that money is put in the hand of. You see, we have a system in this country that's completely. You see, each time, I mean, you hear for instance of the social stuff, it has not worked because Nigerians, we are very clever at everything we do. A bureaucrat in Abuja wants to corner the money meant for the man who lives in Salego. And government is so incapable. Not just look at the scandal that came out of the humanitarian and disaster ministry. The ministry said it came to disaster as opposed to being a disaster intervention against it. So we have such problems. So truly, Nigerians are suffering. There's no doubt about it. But we are not suffering because there's just no food. No, there's not. We want to know food that has still been wasted. Tomato has still been wasted on the farms. You can't get, and unfortunately, in some parts of the north, you have issues of insecurity also living there. But if you are talking about the stock of food supply in the country today, you cannot talk of. We are not Somalia that's suffering from famine that we can talk of. That we have to now appeal to food and Nigerian organization to come and help us bring food. No, that's not a problem. Even a country like Ukraine is now. I saw it 2 days ago. They are even sending grains to us. That's not the problem. Unfortunately, I've had some people say, "Let's go and import food to bring that further the price." What would that do to the farmer? To the Nigerian farmer? You kill the Nigerian farmer. So for me, the thing to do is to find a way of bringing down the cost of distribution. And I think it's very simple. The easiest way to do it, for instance, the government said they have fixed Lagos Kano rail. How about actually developing a system where this can be moved across the country? You have the regulated price of diesel. Diesel is going for 1,500 per liter. The man who wants to bring a truck down here, there's no way he can bring it down and see that access there affordable to the man in Ketu. Those are the areas government can come in, maybe by giving those people vouchers or whatever, to ensure that those costs that are associated with bringing down those things are substantially brought down. For me, the farmer deserves his wages. If this is his own boom time, so be it. What the government needs to do is to help him to be able to also have his own because people are selling dollar. Just imagine a country like Nigeria that some people who trade the currency, they make far more money than people who go to farm to actually do the real productive work. Until we reorder our values in this country and getting the government to actually lead in those areas that matter most, we won't get anywhere. So for me, until we properly diagnose the problem, we won't even get anywhere. The issue today is not that Nigerians are suffering from
lack of
crop
food.
failure. No.
There is a food, but the price is high.
Exactly.
All right, so let's have Mr. Echike's contribution.
Yeah, again, it's failure of governance. And it has happened for decades. Again, the mindset of the average political elite and leader in this country is wrong. It's not a mindset that is focused on service, but it's a mindset that is motivated by the desire for self-aggrandizement. What do we get out of the system? It's not about what we put into the system. And so it is not again as if our leadership do not have a vision. They have an idea of what needs to be done. It is because of that that they came up with the Green Revolution at a time. And then after that, Operation Feed the Nation. Because they knew, and they said this several times, in fact, across all governments, that we need to break away from this mono economy, where oil continues to play a determinant role in what we do as a people. Let us encourage, the real sector. Let us also do something most especially about farming, and let us also, add value to farming, so that we can also have agro-allied industries instead of taking our raw materials out of this country, as has been done across most African countries. Let us concentrate on adding value to some of these products, and then we build industries. We generate employment and employ our youths and the rest. So it's not as if they have no idea, but the problem is simply that they have never been interested in getting it done, for as long as they can make something out of the process, and that is the unfortunate thing. Now, the farmer, again, another thing that happened, even during from as far back as the time of Shehu Shagari, was the issue of course, we all remember the dams that are being built across the country for the purpose of, enhancing farming. In the north, in the southeast, in the southwest, we had so many of them. They are supposed to service the farmlands and all that. Good idea. Then they also had silos, these projects where they are having silos all over the country. So that because they also discovered that that most of these farmers do not have the technology that can be used to store some of these, especially perishable items. And so they had this idea of building silos everywhere, so that there will be a common, people can move their products to certain places where that kind of technology will keep the states fresh till they want to move them, so the farmer doesn't lose anything. So when you go to even the market here in Ketu sometimes and you see the extent of waste, you weep for the people that brought this thing into this place, because these are losses that they're going to incur. And when there's a certain amount of loss that you have, and you cannot go back to replenish, you are out of the business. So these are the things that are happening. So not much has been done in terms of even protecting the farmer. The farmer essentially is on his own. And if you look at the number of farmers that we had in those days, I'm not talking about mechanized modern farming. We don't have, most of the farming that we still do is still agrarian. Some of these people in the villages, 1 plot of land, 2 plots of land, and the rest. We want to find out how many people have left that business. A lot of them, a lot of families have left it completely because they got nothing at the end of the day. They need to be protected. And there's a reason why European countries, and see, and that's the thing, whenever they talk about subsidy, they have made so much demonized subsidy that even the ordinary person on the road, the shoemaker, the mechanic, who doesn't know what subsidy is, but once he hears about subsidy, he starts running. You remove it, it's a terrible thing. But subsidy is supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to be a buffer from the government to protect, certain aspects of the lives of the citizens. So in places like Denmark, they protect the Danish, and what do you call it, the dairy industry. In France, they are protecting their subsidy to protect their steel industry. In America, there's a lot of subsidy to protect the farmers, so that the farmers will not go out of business. In fact, you'll be surprised that sometimes when there is so much overproduction, for instance, of rice, the implication is that the market is so saturated that a farmer has a problem, continuing its business because these things are sold at rock bottom price. What the American government does is they take these things to the sea and they dump them into the sea to protect the farmers at home so that he can continue to make reasonable money to remain in business. Because in America and some of these other places, food is a strategic national interest of the government. It's a security issue. So these are some of the things. So I think in terms of we governments over the years, they come in, they talk so well about the need to revamp agriculture and the rest. But when it comes to doing things, you start asking yourself exactly what is happening. Because like I said, it's all about the mindset. It's not as if they do not know what to do. Okay. But I think they prefer to satiate primordial personal parochial interest rather than the work for the public good.
Okay. All right. So so the thing is, some of these initiatives just look like the government are trying to solve the problem from the surface. But meanwhile, the root cause of the problem, just as we all said on the table, the root cause hasn't been addressed. And obviously the high cost of fuel and diesel, and looking at insecurity, which is also a big part, because some of these people can't go to their farms. We've heard of some states where they have to pay certain amounts to the bandits for permission,
to harvest their crops.
Yes, their own farmland. Yeah. So you can imagine, all of this. But moving forward, I think we've already given some advice or some way out. What else again do we think the government need to do? Because I don't know. I look at this initiative and I just think of, I don't know why, but I just keep thinking of what happened during the custom that was even selling of rice, and so you could imagine.
I think Nigerian problem, like you said, sometimes small problems will blow it to create bureaucracy around it to be able to fleece the system out of the same problem that we deliberately created. Now everybody's looking at the federal government to go and solve this problem of food crisis. The federal government of Nigeria does not have a single hectare of land anywhere. It's only the states that have the land. In fact, if the federal government wants to do a housing project anywhere, it has to go through the state government. And the state government need to accept the land. So the owners of the land, they are the states. Okay. Now, under the immediate past administration, some of us shouted to high heavens when government came up with this policy of anchor borrower scheme.
Yes,
you see, the problem in this country is that it's not that we're in a short of initiative, like I said. It's because for every initiative, somehow there's some inbuilt failure programmed into it. Now ask yourself, when you had an anchor borrower scheme, how was the central bank expected to finance the small rural farmer in the absence of supporting structures that would deliver it by turning the funds directly to them? Before now, we have what we call the agri credit guarantee scheme. We had a specialized agri bank that channeled funds directly to the farmer. That bank will go to the farm to inspect because they have the capacity. Central bank does not have
to be sure that you actually have the farm.
Okay, so at the end of the day, everybody was just pumping money into that sector, and what happened? Half of the money will never. The money is just lost forever. In anchor borrower, almost trillions of naira is wasted because it served the government at that point in time to shout to high heavens that we are doing something. Before then, we've had so many agri. Now, what happened to our agri settlements of old? We grew up, some of us grew up to know farm settlements. Yeah. At least in where I was born, I knew farm settlements where government didn't own the land. What the government did was to have a small office there. You had tractors there. You had all these extension agencies there. They go and help the farmer. They even bring samples of seedlings, improved varieties. They go to IIT, they get it, and then they partner the farmers they teach them how to plant and those kind of things. I would think that that's the kind of thing we should be thinking of now to actually get the local governments directly involved in this new move to move agriculture, and then ensure, like I said, that whatever comes out of their efforts, the enterprise, government is able to guarantee a minimum price. I was trained with cocoa money, but I know when I was growing up that we have what we call the cocoa marketing boards. The government of Western state where I was born never allowed the farmer to be exposed to market forces. They will buy up, they will fix They will look at the global price and then they will fix the price that will be at par with global prices, and then they will, as much as possible, ensure that people sell at that price to ensure that the farmer is kept in business. And in the years when things go down, government ensures that they bridge the gap so that the farmer is not discouraged from going back to farm. Those are the structures that government needs to put in place. Government themselves will never be able to go to farm. Today, you are talking about giving people handouts. How about having local government, 704 local government? How about giving them instead tractors? Massive Marshall Plan to ensure that they have tractors, they have combined harvesters, all these critical inputs that will serve at the local government level, so that it will be the driver, the key driver of those government policies that put in place. Every zone of this country has at least one crop or the other that it can produce competitively. Why don't you drive those things in that area instead of just sitting down somewhere? The state governors, they are more interested in going to Abuja to go and collect check. And the next day they collect the check, you know what happens? You know the change. And then the Naira plunges further.
All right,
and then we're back to where we started from.
Let's have Mr. Achike's last words before we wrap up.
Yeah, look, the possibilities for growth, and are always there. But I think it's about the political will, and he's made a lot of brilliant explanations too. And the way he put it in graphic terms, why won't you do that? Bring farmers, whether in a cooperative, form cooperatives around the farmers, go to every local government and allocate certain parcels of land. Government bring in the machinery, the farmers come in with their expertise and their knowledge and the rest, and then give them all the support that is needed to ensure that if you have about maybe 10,000 hectares of land and the rest, that every season, farming season, it's able to yield certain, the number of crops and all that. Give them all the support that they need across the country. And that the word he used, I think, was the right word, the Marshall Plan. We know what the Marshall Plan, meant. And that was what revamped Europe after the Second World War. When America needed to rebuild Europe for the purpose of also growing America's economy, which would be dependent on what they do in Europe. So they came up with a comprehensive plan, and that worked. And so obviously our situations are so dire that you need a kind of Marshall Plan in the farm, in the agricultural sector. I'm not sure that the politics of this country, augurs well for that kind of Marshall Plan, but we need political leadership that is altruistic, political leadership that is committed and patriotic, and that is visionary. But as for whether this is doable, it is absolutely doable if we have the will.
All right, thank you so much. So we need a leadership that is patriotic and visionary. And with that, we wrap up the program.